Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup, sick edition. I'm sick right now, as you can hear in my voice. So set your expectations nice and low today, even lower than normal. I'm going to share my screen and show you what we're going to work on. Okay, so I've been working on this ChatGPT plugin for Vim, and something I said last time I did this, I did it for the Europe meetup last Sunday. My intention in this is not to teach people about ChatGPT or Vim or even Python, which is what we're coding this in, but I want to convey the universal principles of testing and object-oriented programming. It just so happens that this is the medium through which we're conveying it. I'll start by giving a brief demo. So my dream is that I can have ChatGPT write my tests and then run my tests and then write the tests, write the code to make the tests pass, and then write the next test and so on. And I just fucking sit back and collect the paychecks. So here I'm gonna say, write me. Oh, I think here we go. I have it in my history. Write me an RSpec test for a program that factors numbers. For example, if given the number 8, the expected return values are 1, 8, and 2, 4. So what I expect to see is a test will show up. Yep. And then we can say, okay, run this test now. And that will happen shortly. Here we go. Obviously, the test fails because we don't have any code. So we can send this failure message to ChatGPT. And what we should get is the code to make this failure go away. Okay, and indeed we get this factor class. And this plugin always fails to modify this test file to include this file. So I'm going to do that manually. Require relative factor. Okay, then if I run this, we should see something different. Okay. And then pretty soon in this process, we start running into problems. I'm going to send this response now to ChatGPT. And this might be the point at which we start having trouble. Yeah. So we get this error, file is loaded in another buffer. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, we'll get to that shortly. What I wanted to do just now was just kind of demonstrate what this plugin does. So that's what it does. It partially fulfills my dream of having GPT write the test, then write the code to make it pass. But as you see, not very far into it, it craps out. So we got to fix this issue. And last time I was working on this, I was finding it kind of difficult. A lot of times the problems, when you run into problems like this, it's like almost the hardest part is deciding what you actually want. It's like what is supposed to happen in that case. So in my last session, I wrote out this thing. I'm going to increase this font size. I didn't want to have to remember all these steps that led up to this bug. And so I wrote them all down. I'll go through this a couple times. First, I'm just going to go through the left column. We open Vim for the first time. We ask the plugin to write a test. Then we ask, you know what, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's follow this in real time like this. Okay, so open Vim for the first time. We just did that. We have blank Vim right here. Next, we ask the plugin to write a test. All right, let's do that. Oops. Okay. And I'm actually gonna involve this column too. So when we open for the Vim for the first time, what do we expect to happen? Nothing, because we didn't do anything. And these two tabs we're eventually gonna have, the state of both of them is non-existent. When we ask it to write a test, we expect that the result is a new tab, which we can call tab A, is opened containing the test code from GPT. Okay, so we have that. I actually have an error here. It says test gets run in tmux pane. That's not an expected outcome. Okay, so that's all that happens. Now we ask the plugin to run the test. And I see my note is wrong here also. The test gets run in the other tmux pane. Okay. Ask plugin to give us the code to make the test failure go away. Let's do that. Okay, and our expected result is that a second tab, which we'll call tab B, is open containing the code to make the current failure go away. Okay, and that's what we get. And I have to do this manual require relative factor. Then I will okay, ask plugin to run the test. I must have been taking stupid pills the day that I did this because this is obviously wrong. Okay, when we ask the plugin to run the test should get run in the other tmux pane. Welcome, Myra. I'm sick today. Okay. So we did that just now, right? Or did we? No, we didn't. Okay, let's do that. Okay, now we get this other failure message. Now we're going to do this step, ask the plugin to give us the code to make the test failure go away. And again, this is the point at which we get this error. File is loaded in another buffer. Okay. And of course, the state of tab A is that it's open and tab B is that it's open also. As you can see in Vim here, we have this left tab and this right tab. No problem. Okay. Okay. So what I want to do now is write a test that captures this scenario so that we can pin down the bug and fix it with minimal application of brain power. First, I'm going to blow away these two files I just created. Okay, so before we start doing that work, let's get ourselves oriented. We see, I see some work left over from the last session. I think I left this hanging loose end on purpose, so it would kind of remind me what I was doing, so I could pick up where I left off. I think I was working on making these tests a little easier to understand. So let's open this file. I saw some trailing white space. I'm going to address that first. Huh, I don't even see it anymore. Oh yeah, here it is. Code block 4. Okay. Okay. So before I made an attempt at making descriptive function names, but I gave up hope on that because it was too hard. I ended up resorting to making comments. This is one thing I like more about RSpec than PyTest. RSpec makes it a bit more easy to write good test descriptions than PyTest does. But we can get by with comments. That's okay. So let's look at the test cases we have so far. Okay. When the current buffer is empty, so I suppose a little terminology is in order. Um, a buffer is a Vim concept. And my understanding is that there's basically a one-to-one relationship between a tab and a buffer. The buffer is basically the area where the text goes. It's my understanding, at least. I'm new to all this. And then this example, we insert a code block for a new file called martin.rb. And I should explain that part. The way this plugin works is by sending prompts to GPT and then accepting responses. When it gets a response, the response basically always contains a code block. So this Vim plugin extracts the code block, and then I have this editor class for which I can say, insert a code block into a certain file. Okay, so when we insert a code block for a new file called martin.rb, then the result is that the current buffer is martin.rb. So basically, whatever buffer we insert something into is the buffer that we end up on. Apparently, it's the idea behind this test. And that, again, is under the scenario that the buffer is empty. This test is for another scenario when the buffer is not empty. Okay, when the buffer is not empty and we insert a code block for a new file called martin.rb, the content of the martin.rb buffer gets replaced with the inserted code block. Okay. So far, I'm comprehending this. I hope you guys are too. And let me know if these tests seem unclear, because if they do seem unclear, that's a sign that they need some work. By the way, welcome, Shardley. I feel the need to explain my voice. I'm sick. I don't normally sound like this. Okay. Jonathan, I'm curious about your opinion. Just these two tests we've gone over so far, what are your feelings?
I've been fighting with technology, so I've only been half paying attention, I'll be honest. You seem to be good at catching me in that, because that happened one other time.
I'll come back to you, Jonathan. Carl, I'll call on you. Were you paying attention more than 50%?
Sure, we'll say that. So I guess I do find this. So we have the existing buffer, and then it's in putting into that buffer the code from martin.rb.
Yes.
Okay, so then the content of the martin.rb buffer, I'm wondering why it's the content of the current code block would get replaced with the inserted code from martin.rb. Is that?
Are you referring to this?
Yeah, that line 4849, correct.
The content of the martin.rb buffer gets replaced with the inserted code block.
Because I'm thinking the current buffer is the initial content block, right? Or the initial content buffer. So I would think this is where we're saying the content of the initial content buffer we've now inserted our martin.rb, so the martin.rb code should replace the word's initial content
Exactly.
in the current buffer.
Exactly.
So yeah, in my head I was thinking the content of the active buffer or the content of the current buffer gets replaced with the Martin RB code block.
With this? No, sorry, that's not even it.
No, it's not, right. It should be whatever is in the or I guess martin.rb, right?
What the heck is what's in the code block? Oh, self.code block. This is it's this. This is confusing. Kind of not a big fan of the way testing is done in the Python world.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So
let's
be clear,
hard
when
this.
the first, and again, since I did not come for Sunday's Europe thing, is the first argument in insert code block the martin.rb, is that the name of the buffer or the name
Rather
of
than answering your question with
Yeah.
words,
Okay.
I'm going to try to answer your question with code.
Okay.
Okay. After that change, does that answer your question?
Okay.
Does that make it clear?
Okay, so hello world is the stuff from the top. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm actually even
Yeah.
gonna I'm just
Gotcha.
gonna
Okay.
blow this away because this is just confusing.
Okay.
Anywhere where code block appears, I'm just gonna replace it with I don't know, puts hello world.
Okay, gotcha.
See, yeah, I'm using it here also. Okay.
Cool. Current buffer. So if I'm walking through this, I'm thinking through this as the new developer walking in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is test 2, right? So when the current buffer is not empty, that makes sense, right? So the current buffer, we're filling the current buffer in line 4041. And the difference between the buffer and a code block is probably in a different test. I would go looking for that.
Difference between a buffer and a code block. Well, a code block
Is
the
just
chunk.
the puts hello world.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And again, so I'd probably be looking at that point at insert code block to understand whether martin.rb is, I guess I'm assuming the file handle
Yeah.
that we're referring to, and we're assuming that something in insert code block probably assumes that martin.rb is the file that's in the current directory that we're in or something like that.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Okay. Oh boy. Yes. Give me a break. I'm sick.
You're all good. I used NVim for a hot few weeks and then went back to Ruby Mines. You're better than I am.
Okay, editor.py. That's very strange. Okay, let me try this yet again. No, I messed things up horrifically. Okay. Okay. Said it found the swap file. I'm just going to delete this swap file. Okay, now, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so insert code block. This method, all this code is a work in progress. So this is
right. Sure.
Yeah. Insert code block. Oh yeah, we see the first argument there is file name.
Yeah. Okay, so code block. Set up a new tab. Okay, so this basically sets up a new tab, and then so the current buffer equals equals the code block. Path is that self.save. Okay, no code found response. Okay. So yes, that looks like what I thought it was. So that's good.
Wonderful.
So okay, great. So that adds so that I guess the only thing that it looked like if we went back to insert code block, it both creates a tab and puts the code into that tab. Is that the
Let's see. Good question. Well, I think it depends.
okay?
If the file already exists, then
Mhm.
it replaces the content without,
Right.
you know, it doesn't open a new tab.
Right.
But if there isn't one, then it does.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so then the gets replaced with the inserted code block. Okay.
Okay.
Remembers not.
Now there's this other test. I've just resorted to changing these to test and then a number because it doesn't even help. Okay, I don't know what this test is about. So I'm going to kind of separate my setup here. This is the little bit of setup, just this editor equals line here. JSON file name, JSON content. Okay. Apparently I put this JSON content in a buffer and then I save it. And then I insert self.file name. Again, I'm just going to kill that because it's like confusing. Martin.rb. Yeah, there's really something to be said for hard coding test values sometimes. Okay, so when we insert hello world into martin.rb, and then we go to the JSON buffer, I think that's what's happening. Then we assert that the buffer's content equals JSON content.
This looks like you're not overwriting Martin when you're writing to JSON.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to hard code this because I think that'll make it easier. And even this JSON.rb. I don't know if I did that syntax all correctly. JSON is not defined. That makes me feel a pang of existential dread. Okay. I'm going to go back to this and see. Okay. So it must have been something I did there. I'm sure it wasn't that change. Yeah. Maybe it's that this needs quotes. Okay. Okay. So we fill the current buffer with IMJSON and then we save it. And then we insert this into martin.rb and then we go back to JSON. We assert that it's untouched. Yeah. Okay. When some content exists in some tab, and we insert a code block into a different tab, the original tab. First word that comes into my mind is the original tab is unmolested, but I don't want to put that in my comment for some reason. Is
Untouched.
untouched. I guess it's a little better. Okay. I'm just gonna run this again just because. Okay, I'm gonna commit this because this feels like an atomic piece of work here.
For those your I think it was like Jason.rb, you're doing, I think you're doing string interpolation and just sticking in a string. That's what blew up, I think, when you
Good catch.
I think on 57.
Yeah, it's a bit
and
pointless, huh?
63.
Okay, great. Clean up tests, I'll say. Okay. Now, what do we want to do now? This test is the insert code block test. Well, I guess maybe now we want to reproduce this situation. You guys ponder that while I blow my nose again. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm perishing before your eyes. Ask plugin to write a test. Run the test. Okay, so I think maybe here's what we want to do. So it's like, here's, okay.
Right.
Manual test event. Sorry, did somebody say something?
No, I was just, I'm guessing the thing we're not testing it is where line 7 is if we have a new buffer from ChatGPT or a new code block from ChatGPT for the same file, what does it do with that file? Because I guess what it's thinking it's supposed to do is trying to open up a new tab with the same file name versus find that tab and replace the code. And that's why we're getting the error about duplication or something like that.
I make no hypothesis.
Fair.
Ask plugin to write a test. So basically what we're doing is we're filling tab A with something. Fill tab A with something. And then we this has nothing to do with the editor. Fill tab B with something. Again, this has nothing to do with the editor. And then we insert a code block into tab B. Okay. Okay, let's try that. That actually seems less daunting than it originally seemed just looking at this. I'm going to try something. Let's see. Write me a new test case that matches the scenario described in the second column of the spreadsheet. I spend a lot of time just testing ChatGPT's boundaries. So I don't know if it's actually going to do a good job with this, but I'm curious to see how good of a job it'll do. Yeah, this is no good. Okay. It was worth a shot. I'm going to make this one maybe a little bit more realistic. Um, yeah, well, let's see. Oh, I'll just do this. This is some test code. myspec.rb. Then we'll insert a code block into let's give it a real name. Calculator spec. Call it calculator.rb. Okay. Okay. So we fill tab A with something, that's the test. Fill tab B with something, that's the application code. Then we insert a code block into tab B. We insert another code block. I'm gonna name these. When content exists in tab A, I'm gonna call it block into tab B, insert another code block into tab B. Okay, I'm just gonna run that and see what happens, even though there's no assertion. Okay, no error. I kind of expected that the universe would be cruel to us. So we must be wrong in some way. We're putting code in tab A and then in tab B and then in tab B again. Let's go through the motions again. Okay. I'm going to say, write me a test. That inserts code into tab A. We run it. That doesn't do anything with the tabs. And then we say, give me some code. And that opens a new tab. And then I bet we don't even have to run it again to get the error. Oh, that actually worked. Interesting, that worked. Oh, I bet I know what it is. If we go to this tab and do it, I bet that's when we get the error. Yeah. Okay, so in our test, we have to go back to the other tab. Yeah, it's like whenever the computer seems to be doing something wrong, it's never the computer, it's always you. Okay. So we go to calculator spec. And we and we navigate to tab A. Let's run this. Okay. Hey, would you look at that? File is loaded in another buffer. We have successfully reproduced the error. And I've been striving toward this moment for longer than you guys might realize. So I'm going to commit this now that I have it. Okay. Okay. Add failing test for, what was it? File is loaded in another buffer. Okay, now ChatGPT, maybe you can finally make yourself useful. Here's my test. Here's my failure. Okay. Let's see what it does with that. I should have showed it my application code too. Okay. Let's open up editor.py because that's where this insert code block method is. Let's actually give this to ChatGPT. While we're waiting for that, you can look at this. So what the heck does code block do? Well, the first thing I see is this if code block, then it sets the current buffer. I feel like this conditional could be changed to a guard clause. But maybe let's not do that just yet. Okay, so really the only relevant part, yes, really the only relevant part is this. In fact, just for the moment, we get rid of this so we don't have to be distracted by it. Okay, so we do tab new if there's a buffer with the file name open and the current buffer is not empty. I see. Okay. Current buffer. Oh, I see. We take the code block content and we split it on the new line character. And we set the current buffer to that. Not sure why we needed to do this split. Then we take the path and then we save the file. Okay. Okay. It almost feels like insert code block shouldn't be doing saving, but that's maybe beside the point right now.
Is that appropriate that it's always doing the current buffer? Shouldn't it be switching to the file name buffer?
Well, maybe therein lies the bug. See what ChatGPT is saying to us. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. How about we say switch to the buffer that matches the file name. Then we'll give this to GPT, who for the record is 0 for 2 so far. And we'll say fill in the comment. No, with actual code. I've never believed the things people have said on Twitter so far about GPT getting dumber until recently. It seems to me like it may well be getting dumber. I'm not sure though. Get or create buffer. I don't like that. No, just do it in line. Okay. Huh. Seems like there'd be a simpler way to switch to it. Invim.command. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Isn't there a simpler way? For example, something like this. I'm not impressed. By the way, my standards have gone up so high. It's like the first week of ChatGPT, I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And now, like, if it doesn't blow my mind every single time, I'm like, this thing sucks. Okay, code block. Okay, full path. Why does it need full path? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that and see what happens. Okay, it failed on what? Gives a different error now, I think. How does anybody work with PyTest? It's terrible. Okay, line 14, is that the failure? There's these other, oh. Seems like maybe all of them failed. Okay, well, I guess it's not that simple. Well, here's what I think we need to do. First, I'm going to ask a question here. How do I skip a test in Python? Okay, I'm going to do that. So right now, this last test is failing. Yeah, so I'm going to skip it. Where do I put the skip? Okay. Not ready to fix this yet. Oh, we're experiencing an issue because the test is not cleaning itself. It's not cleaning up after itself properly. So let's fix that. Calculator, spec, and calculator. Oh, there's also JSON.rb. Got to get rid of that. Oh, but it already is. Maybe I need to. That's surprising.
Does if an assert fails, does it stop that test there?
Oh, good question. Let's do this. Tear down method. Where was it? Oh yeah, here it is. Man, this is annoying. Okay. Here, let's do this. Loop through martin.rb, jason.rb, etc., and delete them all. And I'm going to say, fill in the comment on line 24 with working code. Great. For once you do something right. Okay, let's see how that goes. Okay, no leftovers. That's good. Okay, I'm nearly at the end of my rope, and it's almost time anyway. So just out of curiosity, let's unskip this test. Whoops. Let's go back to editor. And do that thing where we switch to that buffer. Oh, self.indem. Nope, doesn't work.
Is it if you open a new tab, when you do your first time kind of running through and you have nothing, you create a new tab, stick some content into it, but then you're trying to switch to that tab with that file name, aren't you?
Yeah, which obviously doesn't make sense.
I wonder if you do need to grab that if statement that ChatGPT originally gave you.
Yeah. See if we can easily find that.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, is buffer with file name open? Oh, hey, that already exists. Oh, let's maybe do it like this. Okay, I'm gonna tuck this away for a second. Okay, is current buffer empty? What was that all about? Oh yeah. Okay. So if a buffer with this file name is open, go to it. Otherwise, only if the current buffer is not empty, do a new tab. I don't like the way that code is expressed, but we'll see if it works. Wow. Okay. Okay. We can say fix bug. All right. Thanks for the help with that one, Jonathan. That feels nice to have that fixed. Okay, now. Let me this test. Okay, and then we want to run it. Do not load such file. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna run that again. Okay, so now we send that to GPT and we get this new content. And then we run test again. Factoring. I think this is just wrong. We got to do it like that. Okay, now we get a different error. We'll send that to GPT. Okay. Oh, no. Wrong. It didn't give an error, but it also didn't do the right thing. Interesting. That is interesting. Well, I don't know why I did that. But just for fun, let's go through this same thing again and see if the exact same thing happens or if something different happens. Okay, I want to run this. Okay, I can't see the whole thing because the Zoom stuff's in the way. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna send this to GPT. Okay. Now I'm gonna run the test again. Okay, now I'm gonna send this to GPT. I did something slightly different. I didn't switch back to this tab. Now I'm going to run this. And it passes. Well, isn't that magical? Let's see how much farther we can get. Okay. Add another test case to this test. Okay. No, I don't like that. That's kind of dumb. This is just like the same thing. Maybe it's fine. All right, I'll run it. Oh. Oh yeah, that's not dumb because like this is hard coded. Yeah, okay. Now let's send that. See what it comes up with for this. Well, that's dumb. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Don't use a case Make it work smarter. I don't know. Okay. Let's try this. Okay. Add a test case or some kind of edge case, we'll say. The main thing I feel is to be desired in this plugin is for it not to be excruciatingly slow. Obviously that's out of my control. Okay, let's run this one. Okay. And let's send that. Okay, and then let's run it again. Wow. I feel like this is a fucking proof of concept here. This is kind of cool. Okay. Write me another test case for an edge case. This one's taken a while. Okay, -10. Okay. Let's send that one and see what it does. Okay. We'll run it. Okay. Now, check this out. Let me blow you guys' minds. Let's see. What's a language that I don't know, but I probably have on my computer? Well, let's just do it in Python. Let's see if we can do one in Java. Write me a, oops. Okay, instead of saying an RSpec test, I'm going to cursor all the way over to the beginning and replace RSpec with Java. Okay. And then I say run this. So the reason I don't run it myself, I tell this plugin to run it, is because I don't know the command. It's like it can work with any language, you know. Unable to find a Java runtime. Okay, never mind. That would have been kind of fun, I guess, but we'll just use Python. Bear with me while I hold down the left arrow key until we get to the word Java. We're almost there. Here we go. Write me a Python test. Yes. Okay, now we run this. Man not found Python. Can I say use Python 3? Yeah, okay. All right, so GPT send. That didn't work the way it was supposed to. Okay, well, it's not perfect yet, so sue me. But that Ruby demo was pretty neat, I think. And I think these problems are very overcomable. It's just a matter of putting in the grunt work to identify all these various possibilities and addressing them one by one.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I started my Code with Jason World Tour. Yesterday I went to Chicago. I drove 4 hours to Chicago for a Ruby meetup, and then I drove 4 hours back in the same night. That was kind of grueling. And I didn't know I was sick until partway through the meetup. It was terrible. Anyway, going to Detroit next week. Me and Rick are gonna hang out. Me and Jonathan are gonna hang out. Eventually I'm gonna visit everybody. So I'm gonna go to Peru. I'm gonna go to hang on, this isn't showing everybody. How can I just see all the frickin' Zoom attendees? Oh, it's just the 6 of us, I guess. Shardley, where are you located?
Boston.
Boston. Well, I'm gonna go to Boston. Gonna go to South Carolina. Might take me the rest of my life to get to all these places, but I'll do it. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Sounds great. Thanks. Get better.
Thanks.
Get better.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
You get better.